This is the Dark Matters podcast. This is Blackbeard. Bristol, England, 1680. The seaside port of Bristol is booming with business. Merchant ships line the horizon, and the traders and fishmongers eagerly await their arrival. The dockside warehouses overflow with sugar, tobacco, and rum. The wealthy elite line their pockets on the backs of the working class, and from the blood of the transatlantic slave trade. In this period of England, the people were separated by two classes, who each had a unique outlook on life. The wealthy merchants lived in the nice stone houses of Queen Square, far away from the filth and the stench of the working class, who were packed like sardines into the crowded lanes of Lewismead and St. Philip's. These workers led a life of quiet desperation. Long, brutal hours on the docks for low pay and poor conditions. The overcrowding of Lewismead and St. Philip's meant that diseases like measles, smallpox, and tuberculosis were a common part of everyday life. Edward Teach, or was it Tack? No one knows for sure his real name. But what historians can agree on is he likely spent his childhood here in Bristol, working on the docks and the shipping yards. It was here that Teach would learn the rhythm of the sea, the smell and taste of the salt in the air, and most importantly, the foundation you need to become the world's best pirate. Teach grew from a boy mending nets into a capable young man on the mean docks of Bristol. As he came of age, he also noticed a big change in his local landscape and outside world. In 1702, the King of Spain, Charles II, suddenly died. He was without a heir to his throne. Spain controlled enormous territories in Europe, the Americas, and the Caribbean. The message was clear. Whoever took the throne would wield immense power. Fearing a union between France and Spain, the English began the War of the Spanish Succession, also called the Queen Anne's War. Overnight, the calm waters of the Caribbean became a floating battlefield. English, French, and Spanish ships hunted each other across the blue waters. The English crown handed out papers to every sailor and dockworker in England. The papers bore a royal stamp and a letter of marque. This gave any Englishman permission to kill, steal, and loot, so long as it was done in the king's name. The legitimate dockworkers and sailors who had struggled for years with low pay and poor working conditions became privateers. Piracy was now legal. Sugar, gold, rum, and slaves were worth more than lives, and cannon fire replaced diplomacy. Edward Teach received his letter of marque and sailed out of the wretched docks of Bristol for the lucrative waters of the Caribbean. He would work under the guidance of many captains as a deckhand and learn the ropes of piracy. From mounting ships with rope ladders to performing blitz attacks on large cargo ships carrying rum, spices, slaves, and tobacco. Teach sailed in a sloop, which is a small ship designed for its speed and ability to maneuver. Sloops are often single-masted with triangular fore and aft sails, making them much faster than a large cargo or navy vessel. Their small size made it easy for them to sail through the canals and over shallow reefs, far away from the prying eyes of the navy that patrolled these waters. The War of the Spanish Succession had taught the humble dockworker that violence paid and fear worked. A successful raid could pay a few years' wages of what the docks in Bristol offered. The rules of law had now become blurred. One man's pirate was another's privateer. In 1713, this decade-long war would end with the Treaty of Utrecht. Philip of Anjou became the heir to the throne, and he was now Philip of Spain. The Spanish Empire remained intact, and they agreed not to unite with France. The English and the Dutch gained territories and were granted trade concessions. With the war now over, the privateers had lost their letter of marque. Piracy was once again illegal. Most privateers like Teach became pirates. By 1716, Teach was an accomplished seaman with years of experience under his belt. He was now ready to go to the next level. On New Providence Island in the Bahamas, Teach would cross paths with another man. His name was Captain Benjamin Hornigold, the most accomplished pirate in all of the Caribbean. Menacing and tactically brilliant, Benjamin Hornigold was an anomaly. He didn't drink like most pirates, and believed in psychological warfare over physical threats. His cunning raids were the stuff of legend, and even the Navy feared him. Teach had become an apprentice to a master pirate, and together they would decimate the Caribbean. His big break would happen in 1717, in the turquoise waters of St. Vincent in the Caribbean. While sailing his small sloop, he would notice a French slave ship, La Concorde, sailing through the channel. He commands his crew, and they attack with his lightweight sloop. Within minutes, they surround La Concorde. Cannons roar and muskets fire. The French crew battle bravely, but they are no match for the speed of Teach's sloop. Many lives are lost and the crew eventually surrender. La Concorde is taken as Teach's first flagship, and he renames her the Queen Anne's Revenge. In an act of grace, Teach frees the slaves, even allowing some of them to join his crew. They happily do, and they turn La Concorde into a floating fortress. 40 cannons are installed on the port and starboard side. The once clean white sails are replaced with shades of menacing black, and the pirate who spent most of his life in the shadows was no longer hiding anymore. With the Queen Anne's Revenge under his command, Blackbeard was now the most feared pirate in the Caribbean. By the spring of 1718, Teach changed course and sailed to the Americas. He arrived at the Charleston Harbour in South Carolina. Charleston had warehouses stocked with sugar, tobacco and rum. The Queen Anne's Revenge blocked the harbour entrance in a move so brazen that no one saw it coming. Teach stayed there for days, his ship sitting ominously in the harbour. His crew rowed small rowboats across the waterway, and witnesses recalled their wild nature and menacing appearance. The posh merchants of Charleston were now paralysed with fear. Who is this man, and why is he here? This man's name is Captain Edward Teach, the commander of the sea. His crew demanded medicine and critical supplies. The message was simple. Failure to do so would be met with cannon fire. The blockade of Charleston was psychological, and the townspeople nervously awaited their fate as the Queen Anne's Revenge trained its cannons. Blackbeard received his supplies and medicine, and as quick as he arrived, he vanished. The skill of an English pirate to invade foreign waters and commandeer its shipping port is one of the most daring naval acts ever committed in the world of piracy, and this event would only grow the legend of Edward Teach. After terrorising Charleston, Teach sailed north along the coast to North Carolina. Whilst navigating the Queen Anne close to the Beaufort Inlet, he ran aground on a sandbar. How could the world's best pirate make such an error? After the blockade of Charleston, the Queen Anne's Revenge was now in the crosshairs of the American Navy. Many people believed that Teach planned to run his ship aground. This was to lighten his crew and get rid of his ties to the Queen Anne. The massive vessel that was once a floating fortress with 40 cannons was now wrecked with a split in the hull. Teach salvaged his weapons and treasure, and he commandeered a smaller sloop and set sail to the town of Bath, North Carolina. Here he was granted a royal pardon from Governor Charles Eden, clemency for all his piracy crimes. He accepted and was now a free man, free to live openly among the colonists who hated him. The creeks and riverbanks of Bath were quite peaceful to the newly retired pirate, and he even began to mingle with the locals and trade legitimately with other merchants. But the commander of the sea found normal life boring, and the thrill of piracy lured him back. His nature would not be tamed. In late 1718 he acquired another sloop and sailed to the outer banks of North Carolina. Here he would find the shallow channels and lucrative hidden inlets along Oracoke Island and Cape Hatteras. Teach's luck finally ran out at Oracoke Inlet, North Carolina. Lieutenant Robert Maynard of the Royal Navy set an ambush in the shallow canals. His crew attacked fast and caught Teach off guard. Swords clashed and muskets flashed, but Teach fought like a man possessed and sustained many gunshots. Finally, he fell. Lieutenant Maynard severed his head and displayed it on the front of his ship, a clear-cut warning to any would-be pirates. The reign of terror was now over, but the legend of Blackbeard the pirate will never die. Dark Matters out.